Today what I'm going to be doing is an upcycle, and I first saw this on a channel called Upcycle Life. I'll link it in the description below. She does amazing things. I'm going to twist it up a little bit, of course, but it's a very similar idea. What I've got 5 tin cans. And before I do anything else, I'm going to do my normal trick and smooth out all these edges. And I'm going to use my Dremel for this, as I normally do. I just go round with this bit on it and smooth those out. And you can use any size cans for this. You don't have to use small ones like this. You can use the large coffee cans. It's up to you. And if you don't have a Dremel, then a normal file will do. Or you can just squeeze this around with a pair of pliers. I'm also going to get my tin opener and take the bottom off as well, because I want the bottom gone completely. These are all done now, and I can do the next stage to them, which is fairly easy. All I'm going to do is squidge these cans together like this. Now, be careful with your fingers, because you want to make sure that your fingers aren't going to get cut. And now, while I've got them together like that, what I'm going to do is take my pliers and bend them over like this, all the way around, or all the way along that line. So they're bent, it's bent over like that, and then finish bending those over. Take my hammer, small little hammer, and knock that flat to there. So you've got an opening like that, and then you've got this bit here that is finished like that. And if you've got any sharp corners here sticking out, then all I'm going to do is bend them over like that and then hammer them down. So there's nothing to catch your fingers on here. So the front of it is going to look like that. I'm going to go ahead, I'll do the rest of the cans, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do next. What I'm going to do now is, now they've all been shaped, I'm going to give them a quick spray of this galvanization spray, and it will really help protect them and enable me to put my next coat of paint on them. Make sure you wear a mask when you're doing this. You don't want to be breathing this in, and it will spray really easily. And then I'll leave this to dry until it's completely dry. It doesn't take too long to dry, but it does take a couple of hours. Now, if you haven't got this, then you could use a metal primer on it, and that would work just as well. While they're drying, what I'm going to do is make myself up some chalk paint. And this is really easy. I don't have any set recipe or weights for this. All I do is I put some paint in there that I want, the colour that I want. And if it's a thick paint, then I'll add a bit of water to it. And these are just my cheap acrylic paints that I'm using here. That should be enough water. And then I'll give that a bit of a mix in the jar till it's all in there. Yep, that's fine. And then I use calcium carbonate, which is this. Get this online, but I will link it below for you. And this is really just powdered chalk, I think. And then I will stick some in. It will thicken this up a little bit. And I normally go by kind of how it feels, whether it's actually got enough in there. So easy to make, and it's so much cheaper to make your own as opposed to buying it. I'm actually going to put a little bit more in than that. And a bit more water, and this will last for ages in here. I can put the top on this, and this will be fine in 6 months time. But if you use the plaster of Paris method, it can go hard and lumpy and clumpy. There is also a white cement method as well, but I don't find that lasts very well. Where this will just last me really until I use it all up. And that's really looking quite nice now on there. So pop the lid on, put that aside ready, and wait for that to finish off drying. These are all lovely and dry now. So what I need to do is prime them. And I'm going to give them a quick spray of a white primer. And that will dry in a matter of minutes. And that'll cover up this galvanized paint that's on there now permanently. Now what I need is a little bit of sponge. I don't need a bit that big. That big will do. Some water, because I want to make this red quite runny, and some red paint. Give that a bit of a mix in, if that's going to be red enough. No, not red enough. I want a bit more red in that. Oh, that's better. And all I'm going to do is rub that red on there like that, on all the ends as well as all the sides. Let that dry and then give it another coat. You can see the red coming through a little bit on that. So that's all dry now. I really like how that's come out. I think the burning of that wood just gives it another dimension. And now what I'm going to do is give it a couple of coats of a satin varnish. Now, I could use gloss if I wanted to, but I don't want this to be too glossy. So the satin will just give it that bit of a sheen. And I'll make sure I go over it everywhere and give it 2 coats, and then it'll be nicely protected. So now what I'm doing is covering this with the paint. I will give it 2 coats just so it's a nice and good thick covering and keep going over it. So it's got a great covering, but it has covered really well in the first instance. And this should be on here permanently because of all the little bit of prep work we did as well, which didn't take long, but it makes a big difference, especially when you go and put something probably outside. So it's worth doing. I will link everything that I've used in the description below, so don't worry at all. Now look how well that has covered that first coat anyway, and the second coat will make it look even better. Big thank you to everyone that got me a coffee last month. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I'm probably in the process of moving by the time this video comes out, and that's worrying me because I won't have a craft room or a craft studio where I'm moving to. But I'm having to move because of personal reasons. So anybody that buys me a coffee, it's all going towards helping me buy a new studio. These have all dried now. They've had 2 coats. I'm really pleased with them. What I'm going to do now is, before I do anything else and put the fancy smancy bits on, is I'm going to varnish the outsides of them using this same satin varnish. And again, I'm going to give them 2 coats, and this will really seal and protect. It coats them lovely. It won't make them shiny, but it will make them have that little bit of a sheen to them, and it will protect that chalk paint, and again it will protect everything that's on here. And they're so easy to paint. These have been lovely. I've really enjoyed making these, and I can't wait to use them in my new house. Well, I'm all ready to put it together now. It's all dry. What I've done is I've drilled a few holes in here just to allow it to sit on there a little bit easier. And now what I'm going to do is screw those onto this piece of wood that we prepared earlier. And they've screwed on there really well. I'll go ahead, finish them all off, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do just to lift them even further and make them a little bit more appealing. But they're all attached now, and all I'm doing is I've got these chrome markers by J. Diction, and I'm going round the lid. And these are waterproof once they're dry. I'm not going to have to seal these. You could do this with gold leaf or something else if you wanted to, or not do it at all. But I think they just lift it a little bit, and then I'm going to put the labels on them as well, so we know what's going to be in each one once they're planted up in the spring. There, that didn't take too long to do those. And now I've got all my labels printed out. I did these on my Cricut. So I've got basil, which will go there. Because this has had a varnish on it as well, these letters will stick to this really, really well. What I also find is when you're putting something on like this, if you warm up where you put them on using a hairdryer, warm it up a little bit, not too much. What that does is it warms the glue up really well. And then when you push down on it, that glue is nice and warm, and that makes a great contact with it, and that really does become permanent on there. There we go. So that's basil. Well, there we go. They're all finished now. I'm really pleased with how they've come out with the basil, the chives, the parsley, the thyme, and the oregano on there. And they will mount on the wall like that. And all I'll do is drill a hole through there, drill a hole through there, and mount it straight on the wall. Fill them with some soil and plant some herbs in there. Great little upcycle. Cost me nothing, really, at all. And that'll be well protected. Now, if you didn't want to use it for herbs and things like that, you could use it in your studio or anywhere like that. Put things like brushes, and you could have brushes and pens written on here. But it's a great little container, and I think it looks great as well. I look forward to reading your comments in the comments section below. Definitely have a go at it. It is well worth having a go at, and it costs nothing, and it's great fun to do. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure that you check out the video that's coming up next as well. It's another great upcycle. Take care, enjoy your crafting, bye.